Hey everyone, Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a brand new band discography review. And today we're going to be looking into a band that, well, definitely doesn't need an introduction when it comes to this genre of music known as heavy metal. And as you can see below the title, we're going to be looking into the band Metallica. And more in particular, we're going to be reviewing their debut album, Kill 'Em All, which was released on July 25th, 1983 through Megaforce Records. Now, Metallica doesn't need an introduction whatsoever. One of the most important and influential bands in heavy metal history. These guys have been around for 35 years. Part of the big four of thrash metal with Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax. Basically, one of the pioneering bands of the metal subgenre known as thrash metal. And yeah, let's just dive into the history of this band for those of you who don't know who they are, all two of you. They formed in 1981 in Los Angeles, California by drummer Lars Ulrich and rhythm guitarist James Hetfield. Lars placed an ad in a newspaper and James Hetfield answered, and the two of them wanted to met and they decided why not form a band. And so they recruited lead guitarist Dave Mustaine, who nowadays you know him as the frontman for Megadeth, and original bassist Ron McGovney. And in October of that year, they formed Metallica. And then in early 1982, the band started playing shows in California, and around that around the early to mid 80s in California, the whole metal scene, some of you might say, was basically dominated by the whole glam metal Sunset Strip scene with bands like Motley Crue, Wasp, Poison, bands like that. But Metallica wanted to stand out from that. They want to be part of that, but wanted to try doing something different, be their own, which I give them props for that, from not following that trend, but try to do their own thing. And thus they gave birth to a new metal subgenre known as thrash metal, combining sort of like the riffs of new wave of British heavy metal, which is part of their influences, with bands like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Motorhead, and sort of like speeding it up with having like almost like hardcore punk tempo, but with bands like Misfits and Ramones, and thus giving birth to thrash metal. And around that time, around the early 80s, it was kind of like in its infancy. Around 1983, when Kill 'Em All was released, it was them, and I think Slayer released Show No Mercy that same year. It was kind of like not really well known yet. It was still slowly developing into what we know today. But anyway, way back to Metallica. Around that time, they started playing shows, started to get their name out, and they recorded a little demo beforehand, No Life Till Leather, and they started getting more buzz around California. And around that time they had a little lineup change when original bassist Ron McGovney left for personal reasons, and they recruited Cliff Burton, who at the time was in a band called Trauma. And Cliff Burton's a monster at bass. I guess a lot of people consider him the Jimi Hendrix of bass. I'm kind of have to agree. He's really good. And around that time, they got signed to Megaforce Records in 1983, and then just went up to New York to record Kill 'Em All. But right before they did that, they fired Dave Mustaine due to his drug problems, violent behavior, and conflict with the rest of the band. And so he was replaced by Kirk Hammett, who at the time was in the band called Exodus, and he was one of the founding members. And other interesting thing I should say is that Dave Mustaine actually received a couple writing credits on some of the songs. And originally, this album wasn't even going to be called Kill 'Em All, and wasn't even going to have this album cover. It originally was going to be called Metal Up Your Ass, and the original album cover had like a hand with a needle sticking out of a toilet bowl. But I think the record company wouldn't even distribute the album if it had that such name. And I think it was Cliff Burton that came up with the name Kill 'Em All, and he actually the hammer is actually his. He actually carried a hammer around, according to Kirk Hammett. And what can I say about this album? A really good debut from a new band with a new style. The production is kind of raw. I heard it was recorded under a cheap budget. It was recorded like for around $1,500, from what I've heard. Yeah, but the musicianship is pretty good. Like, everybody played their parts really well. Well, it kind of showcases like a new band with a new face and new hope. But without further ado, I just like to talk about each track. Let's dive into this track by track. Now, the album opens up with "Hit the Lights," which is a pretty good opener. It's fast, it's raw, it's filled with attitude, and the solo guitar solo in there is like pretty much the rest of the solos on this album, fast and furious. It's a pretty good way to start off this album. Start off with a bang, get your attention, boom. And then we get into the Four Horsemen, which is considered to be kind of the epic of the album, It's the longest song on here. It's 7 minutes long. It goes through several motions, and it has a little bit of a calmer section in there, and it has a really good dual guitar solo. Then I kind of go into the next song, which is kind of like the opposite, Motor Breath, which is the shortest song on here. It's only 3 minutes long. It has like a really punkish vibe to it, and some really starts off with some cool drumming from Lars Ulrich. It's fast and thrashy. What can I say? Keep saying that a lot. Sorry. Jump in the Fire. Very good song. Lyrically, I feel like the song is about very satanic. Like, and this is pretty much from what I've heard other Metallica songs, the only song to have satanic lyrics in their entire repertoire. I thought that was interesting, and I really like the main riff in there. Anesthesia Pulling Teeth is a bass solo done by Cliff Burton. You could tell it's a bass solo because the engineer says bass solo take one, and I was meaning that the song was done in one take, which I thought was impressive. And it just showcases Cliff Burton's talent, and the drums come in at the last third of the song. I consider this kind of like the interlude of the album. It's a pretty good instrumental. Then it goes into Whiplash, which goes right back into headbanging again. Phantom Lord, it kind of starts off a little bit weird. I don't know why. It has a little bit of a weird intro. And it goes into fast and thrashy again. No Remorse, another thrashy song. I know I keep saying thrashy a lot with every song, but that's far from the truth. I mean, every song is just insanely good. Like, I'm just, wow. This is a pretty good debut. Seek and Destroy, which has the best intro riff on there. And it's kind of a slow moving, and this song is kind of lengthy. It's like 6 minutes, 50 seconds long. And it has like the midsection in there. It's fast in there. It's one of the staples in Metallica's set list. I think they play it live ever since they started recorded it. And the album closes with Metal Militia. It's a perfect closer, and it sort of ends with some troops marching. Now, overall, Kill 'Em All is a great debut and a start to a great career from an important band in heavy metal history. If I were to give this album a score, I'd probably give this a solid 9 out of 10. So, yep, that's my review of Kill 'Em All, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next video, and keep it metal.